recording.
John's a badass, and we'll take care of all of that.
I bet you the computer does a lot of it
on his iPad.
Jason, no, I line it up manually, but it takes 4 minutes. It's not a big deal.
Gain up. No, too high. Stop. Okay, thanks. Sorry, guys.
Jason, those the Dennis Rodman stories when dude went to fucking Vegas during the middle of the finals and he's like drinking Miller Lights, riding a motorcycle. I'm like, dude, you couldn't get away with that these days.
And then like comes back and plays. Like
it's crazy.
The one where he went off to do wrestling. They're like, why isn't Rodman at practice? And he comes on fucking TV with Hulk Hogan.
It's the best. There was just no rules. Phil Jackson was just like, fuck it, man.
Also, fucking just in general, being reminded of NWO Hollywood Hulk Hogan. What a fucking ridiculous character.
The best.
And all of that 90s wrestling was ridiculous characters.
It was so great.
I have a bunch of friends who are really into wrestling and would like love if I was into wrestling, but it's not really my thing. I've been to PWG a few times though in downtown LA, and that shit is dope.
Yeah.
It's really cool because like it's a super small little theater that it's in. So literally it'll be like they'll set up a guy against the ropes and the crowd's like, oh shit. So everyone has to like pick up your chair, and if you don't, dude comes flying over, smashes the chair you were sitting in. You're like, fuck man, it's interactive.
Yeah. Dude, so my thing my thing lately during beer reviews is I have televisions in the background. And I started playing old wrestling pay-per-views, and it's become like it's become a thing with people who watch. They comment. They're like, "I remember that match." Blah blah blah. So, like, it's been fun seeing who comments. My one buddy's like, "Dude, everyone watches wrestling. They just don't admit it as adults."
I saw that. I thought that was a pretty good idea.
Yeah,
making good use of the 3 TVs you have.
Yeah, it's been the wrestling thing.
Jake, the snake from State Farm.
Let me get my thing up here. All right. Is everyone recording?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right. Here do we go. Welcome to the Four Brewers Podcast. My name is John Holzer, and as always, I am joined by
Jason Harris
and Tim Mather.
And Greg Nagel is not joining us this week because he's feeling a lot better from the gout. If you didn't listen last week, he didn't even drink last week because he's got gout. And he's pretty much recovered at this point, but he doesn't want to take any chances. So rather than not drink beers, he just decided not to participate, which totally makes sense. So instead of Greg, we have our good friend Joe Senegalea from Jow's Arcade joining us this week. What's up, Joe?
How are you guys? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Woo.
Yeah. Joe, it's been maybe a few years.
I think it's been 2 years. When did we do the show with the Chetty Topper, Jason?
Yeah, that's got to have been a couple years ago.
Oh, the Chetty Topper.
Remember that?
That was good. I got to do some more Vermont cheese orders. That's
yeah, that was the last time. That was the last time I was in the studio with you guys.
That was
get a little quarantine treat.
That was before I got into running and lost 70 pounds too.
Yeah,
so
it was a lifetime ago.
Cheese it back up.
Chetty Topper. What a great name for a cheese. So this week we're doing some summer seepers. If you didn't listen last week, at the end of the show, we decided to keep it light or whatever and do whatever we think is our own interpretations of summer sippers, lawnmower beers, whatever you want to call them. Before we get to that, though, we want to do some follow-up from our Stone show last week. We talked about Stone and the trademark issues they're going through with Sawstone Brewing Company.
Turns out they listen.
Pioneers.
Who knew?
Yeah, they listened to the show. Lizzie from Stone hit me up to give me a little bit of feedback and to clarify a couple things that we talked about on the show. So while we were talking about Arrogant Bastard, we mentioned that, or I kept mentioning that they changed the recipe, or I thought they changed the recipe at some point. And turns out they didn't. It's the same recipe they've had since it was first brewed. And they actually go out of their way to make sure it's consistent batch to batch. Like they're very adamant about keeping that beer exactly what it's supposed to, which makes sense. Like it's one of their most well-known beers, so they want to keep it consistent. So that I think that's interesting, and I told Lizzie this in my response email. It could have been a matter of maybe our palate's just evolving, or we haven't had it in such a long time that we kind of forgot about the nuances of the beer. So I thought that was really interesting that it's the exact same beer that I had 10 years ago for the first time. And it's just not as harsh now because there's so much more variety in the beer scene that can kind of ruin your palate. And Arrogant Bastards turned into basically just a strong, tasty beer and not like a tongue stripping monster, I guess.
You've got the equivalent of calluses on your tongue from all the IPAs over the years.
It's like playing guitar. Yeah. So go ahead.
You had said that we don't want to spend too long on this, and so 2 days after we released our show,
Jason, hold on.
Go ahead.
Before I want to finish up this other part of the email, and then we can go off on that.
Sure.
And then the other part of the email, she wanted to clarify who their brewers were and their breweries and stuff, because Greg had mentioned, we don't really know who the brewers are at Escondido or in North Carolina or wherever else. We're really just only familiar with Chris Ketchum from Liberty Station, and that's it. And that was kind of our commentary on Stone losing its kind of family feel. Like, we know all these people that were then let go, and we don't really know Stone personally anymore. Not that we ever did. And I mean, they're just a company, but when you aren't connected with the people at that company, you kind of feel like you're disconnected from that company as far as a customer goes. So she wanted me. Well, she didn't say she wanted me to. I am gonna clarify everyone that works at Stone. So they've got Chris Ketchum, obviously at Liberty Station, and then Steve Gonzalez. Let's see. I'm just going to read it. We also have an awesome team innovating at our small batch on our small batch system in Escondido, led by Steve Gonzalez, who also runs our Napa brewery. Napa is its own little pilot brewery, just like Liberty Station. Steve is the guy behind a lot of our recent big hitters, including Stone Viking Space Probe Double IPA, which was a Napa original, Stone Scorpion Bowl IPA, Stone Tangerine Express, and others. He's super passionate about the tiki theme and is constantly playing around with those tropical flavors. He nor Chris are on an island, though, as I suspected, or as we suspected. It's an intentional group effort with all of their brewers. And then she said, figure you guys might like that little bit of follow-up, and I just couldn't resist chiming in. So Lizzie's super nice. She's super cool. Like, she's been at Stone for a while now. Stone tends to hire really awesome PR people to deal with podcasters and the media like us. So that's the email. And now I'm going to move on to, there's a little more news since actually before we even did the show, like Stone posted this, or I should say Greg posted a blog response to this whole thing that's going down with Sawstone and local pioneers and this trademark issue.
He posted Monday after we recorded.
So was it Monday?
Yeah.
Okay, the show, okay.
It feels like it's been 3 weeks, but it was just Monday.
I guess what I meant was we didn't, before the show came out, Greg posted this blog response because I hadn't finished editing it until like Tuesday or something. So that's what I meant. Okay. So a lot has kind of gone down since last week as far as Stone's concerned. There's a couple stories. Well, there's one story I read from Kinsey Bernard from Kentucky Sports Radio. She wrote a response to Greg's blog post, which we're going to talk about. There's a brewery called Source Brewing. They already came out with a beer called West Coast Troll, kind of dunking on Stone for being a West Coast troll. It's so far it's not looking good as far as I don't know.
So let's talk about Greg's fucking blog.
Let's talk about it.
We're talking about everything but him being the world's most sanctimonious fucking prick. Like,
whoa.
The guy comes out and starts. I've never even heard of these guys before last week, and they're lame, and they had to do a GoFundMe. Like, oh, wow, you're really big guy, and they've been bullying me. Their actions are wildly irresponsible. I can't believe they'd be so mean to me. Like, they do something asshole-ish. The whole brewing community comes out saying you're being an asshole, and he's like, these Kentucky brewers are bullying me. Eat shit. Stone is with Rogue now. Like, I've bought my last Stone beer. I will never visit a Stone property or give them money again. That is where they've been upgraded to me.
What Jason's referring to in this blog post that Greg wrote, it was written in typical.
I love fiery Jason.
Oh, dude,
he gets fired up.
It's a typical Greg Cook post, and if you're not familiar with Greg Cook and you listen to our show, I find that hard to believe because he's a very outspoken guy, and his attitude is reflected like with Stone's whole, I don't want to say ethos, but like the vibe you get from Stone, like arrogant bastard and whatever. That's kind of Greg, and he's like a caricature of, I don't know, the brewery and how they are as an entity in the beer world. That's my opinion anyway. But it was to the point, and he addressed specific issues as far as like, they're not technically suing local pioneers. They're going after them. It's basically just a trademark dispute. And it's in this article I read from...
He thought it was a very important distinction that they did not sue them in court. They just filed to invalidate their trademark. Therefore, it's unfair to say they're suing them. Like, it's not the same fucking effect.
I mean, it's almost worse. I feel like it's kind of like, instead of going the route of like having it be judged, it's like, we're just going to go straight to the source and pull the plug.
Yeah. In this article written by Kinsey Bernard, she said, they don't have all of these cease and desists out there, but they do have 89 open trademark proceedings with the trademark trial and appeal board inquiry system. And she even gives you a link to see all of those disputes that they have. And among those, I mean, a lot of them, and they all basically, if it says Stone in the name and it's related to beer, Stone's going after them. So
stupid.
Pacific Stone, Stone the Crowns from Reuben's Brews, Rotten Little Bastard Distillery, which arrogant bastard, Stone Angel, which looks like a foreign brewery, Treadstone, Lucky.
They're going after kidney stones, gallstones. They're getting all of them.
Rolling Stones.
Like, it's so crazy.
Basically, and also in the article, Greg mentioned, or he thinks that this is some kind of online campaign for them to gain notoriety. And yes, they do have a GoFundMe, and people are donating money to them, and he feels like they're using this to their advantage, kind of, in my opinion, like how Stone is using the Keystone thing to their advantage to gain publicity off of it. He does, but it's his business, and he's a major part of it. He does address things, but he's also very snarky and very, very Greg Cook in this. And so Jason's attitude going into the show last week, he wasn't really happy with Greg and Stone as a whole for them, doing this kind of bullying thing. And if you look at Twitter and social media as a whole, a lot of people kind of are on Jason's wavelength, where they're like, this isn't helping Stone. Like, your snarky post, playing the victim kind of thing, at least if you want to interpret it that way. That was the most
infuriating part, is to go out, bully a small business, and then when they get mad at it, be like, oh, they were mean to me on social media, so they're wildly irresponsible and horrible. Like, I'm victimized here because I'm like, fuck you.
Yeah, like I said, everything I saw, I'm not really seeing a whole lot of like people rooting for Stone in this. Not that you have to take sides. It's just you know what? I feel really bad. It sounds like their PR person was very diplomatic and nice to us. Yes.
And that must be a very hard place to work with a person writing shit like this that you have to then explain.
Yeah, she didn't even explain it. She said, if you didn't see, Greg wrote a blog post. He updated it today, and we're not going to say anything else about it, which I don't expect her to explain anything for Stone. I didn't ask her for an explanation. She was nice enough to reach out and give us some follow-up on the information that we stated that was, incorrect, that's awesome.
Barring a massive mea culpa, like, I'm done with them as a brand until they shape up. It's fucking ridiculous at this point. Like, I won't support them even being on the show at this point. Like they're Golden Road as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, damn.
Shots fired.
Yeah, serious.
So, not to start the show off on a negative note, but that's our follow-up from last week's show. So
they're still doing the Keystone thing. I stopped paying attention. Are they still doing that?
Yeah, it's just moving slowly through the court. Every time there's like a little procedural where it doesn't get thrown out of court, they release a big like victory blog about it.
It's so crazy, man. Like, when I first heard that, I was like, but nobody looks at Keystone and thinks of Stone, and vice versa. Like, it's the weirdest thing.
Again, I see where they're coming from with the emphasis on the Stone and the key being really small, and so when you see it, it says Stone Light. I totally see that.
Yeah.
But craft beer drinkers aren't going to where Keystone is, right? Like,
but that's the thing. If you're trying to get, if you're looking at it in a grocery store, right? Or like where your average customer, who the higher volume beer customer, if those cans are turned just right, you're never going to see the key part. So like, going after them for the name Keystone is one thing. Going after them because their cans are deceptive is more where I come in, because I would see that as a designer. Like, I totally get that. And to your point, like, those of us who know the beer world, like, you would never mix that crap up. But if you're just walking down the aisle and you don't know much, you're like, oh yeah, my buddy loves Stone. You're like, oh, I don't really like heavy IPAs, but look, there's this Stone Light. Maybe I'll try that. Like, that's kind of the market, I think.
But when Keith Stone started singing "Hold My Stones" in 2010 in like a wildly successful national commercial, somehow they didn't notice then. Like,
yeah, I mean, we could talk about this.
Yeah, let's
move on to something else. Like, I seriously have said the last thing I want to say about Stone.
So we just wanted to give that follow up because, you know, Lizzie was nice enough to reach out to us and clarify a couple things. So whatever, you know, let us know what you guys think about this whole thing with Stone. I mean, it's kind of obvious at this point. We've seen it on Twitter. So if someone has anything to say, like, they've probably already said it. So we're just going to end that there. So moving on to this week's theme, we got to get in a happy, fun mood here. Today, we're drinking some summer sippers this week.
I wish we would have made an audio drop of Matt making a real summer sipper, a true summer sipper. What beer was that, by the way? Was that Otravez? The Sierra Nevada Otravez, I think, was the
maybe, yeah,
when we were doing that beer.
Because that's where I think he got the accent from, like the summer sipper.
Yeah,
probably. So summer sippers, lawnmower beers, whatever you want to call them, it's up for interpretation. A lot of people tend to think like a double IPA is a great lawnmower beer, whereas others
hopefully after
think something a summer sipper needs to be as low ABV as possible, or maybe no ABV. I'm kind of all over the place with that. I have a general rule around 4 or 5% is my lawnmower beer. So the beers I selected are kind of in that range, but stylistically, you might not call them summer sippers.
You know what I saw? One of them. When I went to Totes Wine, and the theme of all the summer beers is fruit. Like, just everything has fruit in it right now. Like all those seasonal beers and stuff. That's the big thing. Well,
speaking of fruit, the first beer that I have is one of my favorites. This is Hell or High Watermelon from 21st Amendment. This is in a stovepipe can, the 19.2 ounce can, or whatever it is, 1 pint, 3.2 fluid ounces. So yeah, 19.2. This is one of the first fruit beers I've ever had. All the way back in 2010, I think it was, is when we went to San Francisco for the first time with New Brew Thursday. And we went and did a show with Sully from 21st Amendment at the 21st Amendment Brewery. And this beer still stands out. Like, it's a watermelon beer. It's not made with like watermelon in a sense of like the fruity part of the watermelon. It has like a watermelon rind character to it. And that's what I think stands out. And that sounds kind of gross because who eats the watermelon rind? Like, you eat the watermelon and you toss the rind. But the rind is what gives this beer its unique characteristics. And it comes off very refreshing. It's a wheat beer. I think it's 4.9%, I believe. Yeah, 4.9%, 17 IBU. But that nice rind fruit character. It's kind of like if you have orange pith rather than orange itself. It's a different vibe, and this beer has it. And it's just really clean and refreshing. It's one of my favorite beers to drink when it's hot out.
Yeah, I think that falls in line with one of the first fruit beers that I ever had as well. And I enjoy the fact that it's refreshing and it does have the hints of watermelon, but it's not like watermelon Jolly Rancher like you get from some of those more like sweetly fruited beers.
I've actually never had that beer before. Do you guys know that?
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of it personally.
Never had it.
I've never loved it. So
was that the beer that Budweiser went after and said like if you're a man you don't drink this beer, and then it caused like a big old like ruckus on social media? Do you guys remember that?
No, because I remember they made something to do with like peach pecan. I remember all the homebrewers got all pissy about it.
I don't remember that.
Oh yeah. Because there was I remember when I was still with Untapped, and I remember there was something we had to like. There were all these fake beers made with like pecan or something, peach. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, it was something like that.
So what did you get, Tim?
Oh, what did I get? I'm starting off with my summer sipper theme focuses a little bit more on style. I wasn't too worried about ABV or lawnmower beer. I was kind of thinking like, what sort of styles do I enjoy during like the hot times? So to get started, I have 10 Degrees. This is from Urban Roots up in Sacramento.
Ooh,
I
love their beer.
This is a Czech style lager. You can see here this label is actually the Czech flag, which I just had to look up because I was like, wait a second, that looks very familiar. So
that looks intentional.
Yeah, exactly. So this is a 3.9 ABV Czech style lager. Which to me, something nice, refreshing, like the lager Pilsner, that like noble hop character really screams like, oh gosh, just refreshing. So that was when I picked this one up. It's 100% Czech grown Saaz hops and floor malted Bohemian Pilsner malt. So
yeah, I did a little, it wasn't necessarily a poll. I asked Twitter the other day, hey, we're doing the show. What's your guys' interpretation of a summer sipper? And our friend Aaron Champion from the great land of Canada. He's living in LA right now, I think, but he recommended that beer. And I've seen Urban Roots down here. I didn't see it. I went to Gerard's this week. I didn't see it at Gerard's, but I did look for it. So I'm actually glad you found that beer, Tim, because that works out perfect.
Yeah, it's so I feel as though my nose is just not working today. I'm not getting too much aroma off of it, but no, not like that.
Can you taste the beer?
Oh yeah, I taste it just fine. No. I've got constant like my wife will be like, hey, do you smell gas? I'm like, no, there's nothing here. It's like, oh wait, no, the oven's still. Yeah, it's always me. Anyway, yeah, no. It's got a very clean, like very sort of like, I'm not getting too much off of it, but as far as flavor goes, it's crisp. It is clean as hell. And it's just got that really nice, it's pretty, I want to say it's a bit light, but it's got that really nice sort of noble thing going on. And I will say, in terms of picking this up, I got this in another one. Shout out to Hilo Liquor in Culver City. It was actually the first time I went in and actually browsed for beer and not ordered online since this whole mess started. So it was kind of a fun experience.
Yeah, coming in at 3.9, that's a session beer. Session beer is typically labeled 4% or lower, and 10 Degrees. I'm assuming that's the initial Plato of the wort. So that'd be around 1038, 1040 starting gravity. So that's a clever name, 10 Degrees. I like that.
Yep. I feel like this is just the epitome of like a nice summer out on the, in the yard sort of beer.
It ticks all the boxes, definitely.
Oh yeah.
Joe, what summer sipper are you sipping on, bro?
I was a late ad last night, so I actually didn't go to get anything. And I realized when I looked at my fridge, there's really nothing under like 8.5%, but I did find, I'm drinking a Monkish Pale Ale. They did glitter rainbow hop. They brewed
nice.
it for Pride. So this is
that's red.
Yeah, I see that label's cool.
Oh, nice.
Glitter kind of rainbow thing. And it's 6.4%. It's all Nelson, just a pale ale. And it is freaking amazing. It's beautiful.
So, John, I looked up because I was curious about the 10 Degrees thing.
Yeah.
And apparently that is a thing in Czech beer. Like beer in Czech Republic is categorized in degrees. So like a 10 degrees versus a 12 degrees, it's stronger. And you're right. That's the origin of it. But
so it's kind of like the shilling thing, like 90 shilling, exactly. Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of cool.
Oh, that's I was awesome. Kind of right then. Look at me.
Yeah.
You're so smart, John.
I know.
So how is the Monkish beer, my dude?
It's delicious. I mean, I'm a Nelson whore. So it's just
Nelson all-time goat hop. Well, it's not the goat, but it's one of the top 5 for sure.
Yeah. See, we were talking about Mount Rushmore of hops, and Nelson is definitely on that for me. I'm starting to really get into Strata hops.
That most Strata beer like fucking changed my life.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
Joe had that on his show. He does Jow's Arcade on YouTube, and he coincidentally we both got Most Strata. That's when we ordered it for the show too, and I think someone sent that to you, right, Joe? You didn't order it.
One of my buddies sent it, and I was bummed because I only got one can of it. I'm like, I want to drink this beer for the rest of my life.
And your video was just like, I was just like, dude, he is so right. This is the best beer I've ever had.
It was so good. It was so good.
Yeah.
Where are you exactly? Oh, no, you don't have to give that away on the show. I'm like, what are you? You're in SoCal, right?
Yeah, I live in North County, San Diego.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say I still have some Most Strata.
Do you really?
That's gonna be pretty old now.
I mean, at this point, probably, but
I mean, I don't know if like Strata is a newer hop. I don't remember having beers with Strata in it, and I feel like guys are brewing beers with Strata now, and I'm like, every time I see a Strata beer, I'm like, I need that. Most Strata was life-changing.
I'm pretty sure it's a newer hop. I mean, I haven't heard about it until recently.
Apparently, it was created in 2009, but but that was like that was when it was first created as whatever, not necessarily fully into the marketing of Strata or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
And Tim's drinking the beer from where is that from?
Urban Roots.
So speaking of 916 area, Slice just released a beer that's Strata and Mosaic, I think. I actually have one of those in my fridge. I haven't drank it yet, but it's like 8.5%. I'm like, that's not really a summer sipper. But I was just like, Strata hops.
Did we have any beers from Slice, Jason, when we were up north for the beer summit?
I don't believe so. That doesn't sound super familiar.
Yes, I don't think I've had beers from Slice at all. I've seen them around.
They're like a year into this. I think they're about a year. Yeah, year and a half maybe. So it's still fairly new.
If they've only been up a year, we haven't been to Sacramento for like.
We didn't have it.
Yeah, their beer is absolutely amazing. I love it.
So I picked up a novelty.
Yes.
Trejo Cerveza, Hecho in LA. It's a flat black can, a matte black with a gold Danny Trejo on the front.
Did you get any of his tacos to pair up with it?
Yeah, they didn't have those at Total Wine, but it is the nectar of the Mexican gods. And it is brewed by the Lincoln Beer Company in Burbank, which I have never heard of.
Burbank, Lincoln Beer. Why does that sound familiar?
Is that Gordon Biersch? The Gordon Biersch Brewery?
15 Barrel Craft Beer Brewery, Burbank, California.
They do sound familiar. That's cool.
History and origin.
What's it called?
Yeah, Lincoln Beer Company. Yeah.
Patrick Dunn, brewer and owner.
What beer did I just?
15 Barrel Brewery in 2016, open to the public in 2017.
Yeah, they do sound familiar. I want to say I've seen them.
Oh, they partnered with companies they'd made the Duff crafted lager for The Simpsons.
Maybe that's why I heard of them then. Yeah.
Interesting.
Duff beer. Damn.
This dude's apparently got some Hollywood connections.
John, did you do a YouTube video of Most Strata?
I think I did.
Did you?
God, I can't remember. I'd have to look that up. That's a good question, Joe. You think I would know that?
You do so much, John. We can't expect you to remember it all. Hey, Jason.
Have you guys
just make myself big?
Yes, you did.
No,
have you guys had anything from Made West? That's in LA too, right?
No, that's up in Ventura.
Oh, Ventura.
They're in Ventura, but they're great. Yeah, they make I feel like they have I mix them up with Topa Topa because the brewer
still in Ventura, but yeah.
Topa Topa definitely is a brewer that left Stone. I was confusing that with Made West, but Made West makes super good, clean West Coast beer. Like,
I had a beer
really a big fan.
A couple weeks ago, I'd never heard of them before. I thought maybe when you said it was that, I thought it was that brewery, so I had looked up the photo of the beer, but it was
no. Made West is probably another. You got to drive like another hour from Burbank to get out to Made West over there.
Gotcha.
I always stop there on my way up when I'm going up to like Firestone or whatever. They're one of my must hits.
Real time follow up. I did not make a video on Most Strata.
Okay, I thought I would have watched that if you did.
Yeah, I did. Not.
This beer's okay. It's a little cloudy, I would say, for a Mexican lager. Like I would expect it to be a little bit more brilliant.
Is it corny?
Is it corny?
A little bit. Yeah, it's okay, but I'd like it to be a little drier and crisper. It's just got kind of a little perceived lingering sweetness. It's not my favorite. I bought it because it's a funny label. So
Yeah,
It's great.
I think that's why
novelty.
people are buying it. It's a novelty kind of thing.
yeah.
What was the Mexican lager AleSmith did? The Sublime one?
So yeah,
The one that
40 ounces to freedom.
the one that when you drink it, it tastes like you were eating corn chips. That's not how that one is.
I think that was very much intentional, though.
I'm here for that though.
Oh, it's good.
A little chaser of salsa.
Yeah.
It's not a past tense. I think that's like a year-round beer for them now.
Oh yeah,
It's a store beer.
Yeah.
I still want it.
When that first came out, I wanted to get the actual 40 ounce because they put it in an actual cone-shaped bottle and all that, and I didn't. But
it sold out instantly. They did one bottle per person. I wanted to do it because I wanted to chug it on my channel, and I missed out.
That would have been epic. That would have been cool.
Yeah.
Man.
Well, there's like a whole YouTube community of 40 ounce people who like chug 40s.
I've seen that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, well, I could do this with that, and it just never worked out. Hopefully they do it again.
I gotta go hang out with those guys. Cheap Beer Corner has entered the fucking game.
Yeah. I realize it's a little out of order, but I'm gonna follow up off of the whole Mexican lager talk here and just pop over to my next beer if that's cool.
Go for it, man.
All right, so I'm going with the classic here. This is by far my wife's favorite beer, and she definitely got me into it. And while it may not be the trendiest, I think it is definitely one of the better refreshers for a summer sipper. I got Pacifico here.
Great beer.
It's a nice yellow label. This is like the epitome of a delicious Mexican style lager for me. Anytime I want something nice and refreshing, like this is where I go for sure. But just to make John and everybody cringe, you can't have a Pacifico.
Oh,
there you go.
Lime.
That's right.
That doesn't make me cringe.
We're going for it.
Rex Brewing, which was Tyler King's brewery that he started when he left the brewery. They made a lager specifically, like they basically cloned Pacifico. And if you served if you had it on tap, you had to serve the beer with lime. They required you to serve their beer with the lime just for the joke. And like that, it was like strictly enforced. I mean, they were a small brewery, so only their homies basically got kegs of their beer. But yeah, you had to drink it with lime.
I mean, Pacifico calls for it. Most Mexican lagers do, but I'm like at least one, maybe two wedges in the bottle. You're good to go. Plus, I got my favorite pint glass here. Looks like
nice.
It's fucking shit o'clock.
You guys, I'm going to pause for a second because my breaker tripped on my air conditioner and I'm fucking hot. So give me like 2 minutes.
All right.
You can cut this out later.
Pacifico's. I love Pacifico.
Oh, for sure.
Did you just open a Hams? I'm so jealous of that, if that's what that was.
You know it.
Love
Jason is the king of like not
cheap beer.
Well, you're the king of not only like non-pretension. That's what I'm trying to say. Like,
of course.
The only beer that I'm too good for is Bud Light. Bud Light and Natty Light, I just can't fuck with. Like all the other light lagers, I can pretty much deal. But like, no joke. Like if I'm at like a friend's barbecue and all they have is Bud Light, I'll probably just drink water. Like I just can't stand the flavor of that particular beer.
How do you feel about the new? I saw an ad for Budweiser Zero.
I haven't heard of that. What's the deal with that?
Apparently, they're coming out with their own alcohol-free Budweiser.
Really?
They're just following the trend. Like the zero ABV is really like catching on, and so I've seen a lot of different bigger breweries starting to come out with them. But I saw an ad for it.
Oh well, I mean, it's gonna taste like Budweiser. So like, even if they hit the mark and the best possible scenario, it won't be great. I like the Heineken 0.0 quite a bit.
Yeah.
As far as NA beer goes, it's probably I've said on the show before, it's probably the most beer flavored NA beer that I've had.
Have you had the St. Pauli Girl NA? I heard that one was really good.
Yeah, it's okay. It's a little skunky still, which is just kind of part of the style. It's a green bottle German Pilsner, right? And I feel like that one still comes through. All the NA stuff is warty. Like it comes through like unfermented wort. Like I don't know what how the process looks for those, but they always end up being a little bit too sweet.
Hey, I am back. Sorry about that.
It's all good.
How hot is it up there, dude?
It's like 106.
They said it's supposed to be super hot this whole weekend, right?
Yeah, it's fucking miserable right now. I want to bring it back in.
I'll bring it back in.
All
right. So going along the lines of Tim's beer, I am opening a beer that was part of our Pilsner Showdown that got 3rd place. And this is a Prima Pils from Victory Brewing Company.
I haven't had a beer in so long.
I haven't seen a Prima Pils on the shelf in a long time.
Yeah, it's it's one of those beers you forget about because there's so much good stuff out there that, not that it isn't a good beer, it's just you overlook it because, I mean, you're buying other hype stuff. So this is, in my opinion, one of the best Pilsners that you can get. It's made with Tettnang, Hallertau, Spalt, and Saaz hops. And it is, I think it's 5.3. So can't go wrong with Prima Pils.
Tim, I was going to ask you when you were talking about putting lime in your Pacifico.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever used Bacardi Limon as your lime to put in beer before?
No.
So there was a thing back in the day called Corona Limona. Okay. And you basically take a Corona beer, since the neck is so empty, and you take Bacardi Limon and you fill up the neck with Bacardi Limon and mix it in. So you're basically having a shot and a half with your beer every time you drink it. It is absolutely crazy how good it is, but it ends bad.
Oh, that sounds amazing. That's kind of along the lines of, in college we didn't do beer, but Mike's Hard Lemonade was hot, so we had Mike's Hard Lemonade, and we'd fill the neck with Everclear.
Oh, geez.
I had a very, very hipster version of that recently, which was it was like an Aperol, like a poor man's Aperol spritz, but you basically took a Miller High Life bottle and like took a little sip out of it and then filled the rest with Aperol, which is like a weird red colored herbal liqueur. It was fun. It was good.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, man, putting hard alcohol in your beer is super underrated.
Yeah, for sure.
It gets you where you need to go very quickly.
You know you're in a good bar if they've got the like beer shot combo on the menu.
Yeah,
they've got like just a PBR and fucking well whiskey for $7, and you're like, all right, I'm in a bar I like.
Well, I don't know.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know how much you guys have ever flown through the Bay Area, but the San Jose airport used to have a deal at the bar in the airport where you would buy any beer and a shot was $1. So you could literally get a shot of anything for $1. That was the greatest deal of all time.
That's amazing.
Especially at an airport, because usually at an airport you're paying $75 for a shot of something.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I feel like I'm like every time I'm in an airport and I get a beer, they try to upsell you a shot. Like and that's like the airport special. It's it's 7:30 in the morning, and they're just like, "Yeah, you want to add a shot to that beer for $2?" And you're like,
"I've never experienced that.
I'm going to be on the plane for 6 hours and may as well."
Yeah.
Airport makes you feel, it makes you feel better about yourself at all hours. I mean, I learned airports don't start serving alcohol until 6 a.m.
They didn't start until 6 a.m.
Right, because we had a 6 a.m. flight one time, and I was like, oh, we'll stop. And I mean, that's the thought process of flying. Like, oh, we'll get there. Like, get us check in an hour early. We'll sit at the bar about 5:15. They're like, we don't serve until 6. What? How dare you?
Yeah, like COVID has made the whole world airport rules. It doesn't even matter now.
Exactly right.
You sleep on the floor, like you can drink at 9 a.m. Like it doesn't matter, man.
Honestly, it's kind of fun going to an airport and drinking a beer at 8 a.m.
It's the best.
I don't feel bad about it. Like I feel like these are my people. It's okay.
Everyone's doing it.
Yeah, it's just.
I mean, there's
get
people
a free pass.
There's people in suits having cocktails at 7:30. You're just like, this is amazing. It's like Vegas.
It reminds me of we had a flight out of Ireland, and I had a Guinness from the bar in the Dublin airport while waiting for our flight in the morning. Yeah, it was pretty good.
I mean, as you should.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it true that Guinness tastes different over there? By the way, Could you tell?
I didn't have enough of it to be able to tell.
I have a long-standing
theory.
Really
bad about that, but
I have a long-standing theory about that, which it's just the vacation effect. Like, hey, we took a magical trip to Europe. We're in Ireland. We're at the brewery, and you know what? This is an amazing day, and this is the best goddamn beer I've ever had. But it's the same beer. You're just on vacation.
I think the difference might be that if you're going to Guinness, like. Going to the brewery itself, maybe you've only had it out of the can, and so you're experiencing like the nitro effect from the little widget that's in the can. Hold on, let me finish. And
Okay.
so when I have had Guinness on draft at a bar, like the last time I had it, I was in Ukaipa. I was hanging out with Eric and Jeff, 2 friends of the show. And it was just this small bar in Ukaipa. Like, I don't even like Ukaipa. I was just there though. I'm like, I'm gonna have, and I had and it was the best goddamn Guinness I ever fucking had. It was it was so good. They served it in like the Guinness pint glass that if you hold the pint glass, it's got this really nice design that kind of curves and turns. It feels really, really nice in your hand. It's my favorite Guinness glass.
I saw
my favorite beer glass, and I bought the glass just because I want that experience at home. I was just like, this is the best beer I've ever had. Yeah. So that could be what it is. And it's probably a little fresher too if you go to the brewery, but getting it on draft and if it's served properly, that's a really good experience.
Well, they were one of the first breweries to like send out like tactical teams to make sure the pours were right. Like that was their big thing. They're like, we're sending people to the bars to make sure the bartenders are pouring our beer right.
Yeah, you're right though, Jason. The vacation effect is real because when I got married, we honeymooned in Maui, and I remember thinking Kona Big Wave was like the greatest beer of all time.
I was literally just thinking that. I'm like, I bet you if you're sitting there on a beautiful beach in Hawaii and someone hands you like a Kona longboard lager, you're gonna be like, this is the best fucking beer I've ever had.
I will back that up 100%. Like when we were there last, for sure, it was either some sort of tropical cocktail or like a Kona or Maui Brewing, and
it was like lava flows and longboard.
Yeah, this is the greatest beer I've had.
I would, because we would get up in the morning and go down, like we would do whatever, go to the beach and then come back and hang out at the bar. And I just remember drinking, I drank Kona the whole week, and I was like, I love Kona. I came back and I was like going to the store and buying Kona. I'm like, this isn't as good as I remember being. I need to go back to Kanapali and drink this again.
So my beer, which we talked about in the off time, but I'm drinking a Hams.
Nice.
I had to throw in like one light lager or something in there. It's just really on brand for me. Also, I've got the sign.
Yeah, you got to.
What's it? Is it saying on there from the land of the sky blue waters? Is that what it is?
It says cool idea from the land of the sky blue waters.
Sky blue waters, that's right.
And then down here is the little like ice skating bear with a scarf. It's kind of hard to see on camera, but it's a weird looking bear.
I used to have a sweatshirt and I lost it.
I have never had Hams. It's one of those things that I've never had. So sell me on it, Jason.
It's just a really solid macro lager. I would say it's not as like sweet or corny as like PBR. But it's very much in that vein. If you like Pabst Blue Ribbon, they're very much trying to do that same PBR hipster marketing thing. But honestly, you can get a 6-pack of tall cans for $5.
I've been buying PBR lately, like not for the hipster like effect or whatever, but it's just a clean, cheap beer. Like, and it's refreshing. It's a nice break from craft beer, which sounds weird, but it really is. Like, especially for the price point, you can get like a 12-pack for $11 or something.
Yeah, and
it's just as good as craft lagers, in my opinion.
That's 100% why back when Untapped started, the majority of my check-ins are to PBR, because I went to 7-Eleven and I got a 24 case for like, I don't even know, like ridiculously cheap. And
probably
I was like,
$12. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm just going to use this to test, air quote.
There was an Untapped badge that I remember when I was really first doing Untapped. And I think it was something like Frat House or something like that. And back in those days, you didn't necessarily know which beers you had to check into for it. So I remember spending weeks with my friends trying to figure out what we had to check into to get this fucking badge. It was like, I think Natural Ice was one of them. But like we were trying to figure out what the other beers were. It was like a mystery you had to unlock. And we never did. I never fucking got it.
PBR is a good beer though. I remember I went to I was up in Sacramento. I went to a Kings game with my best friend. It was like the night before Thanksgiving a couple years ago. And after the game, we stumbled into a bar and they had 40s of PBR bottles. They just gave you the bottle and it was $3. I'm like, this is the greatest deal of all time.
Yeah,
at a bar.
I mean, I know like that's amazing when you go to a club down here or a show and like a PBR tall boy is, if you're somewhere sketch, it's a reasonable price. But most of the places you're like, this is the same price as if I went to this brewery and got the latest, Northeast IPA.
So we were talking about Guinness earlier, and that's my next beer. I have a Guinness draft beer, and it sounds kind of unusual to open a Guinness, and I'm pouring it right now.
Pouring hard.
Yeah, you don't have to pour it hard because of the nitro thing, but I'm pouring it hard anyway because why not?
There's a Guinness. What is the thing about Guinness? I think in a bar, if they pour it, you try and chug 3 of them before the pour is done. Have you guys seen that? That's like a YouTube thing.
I feel like you could definitely do that.
Yeah, you chug like 3 Guinnesses before an actual Guinness is poured.
I have a very nerdy story involving Guinness. So I went to a Harry Potter pub crawl before the Penny Arcade Expo one time. What? And they broke all the different groups into the different houses. So we were part of the Slytherin house, and we all were in our green. There's like 40 of us, and each of us. Yeah, we made T-shirts. So I made, for some reason, I thought it was really funny to pronounce it Slithering, and like people would correct me, and I'd be like, no, Slithering. And I made T-shirts that were like the Metallica logo, where the S and the G were like lightning bolts. I don't know. It was fucking great. But anyways, in this thing, they had a whole, like, you had to, there was like a dark arts thing, and you had to drink like dark liquor or dark beer. And so I was just chugging Guinness, and everyone was like, wow, you're chugging Guinness? I'm like, yeah, it's not carbonated. It's like 3% alcohol. Like, it's the easiest beer. and everyone was so impressed. Oh, man, it was fun times.
Yeah. Guinness is really easy to chug, and it's very delicious.
Unfortunately, I couldn't find the glass I was talking about. I went in the kitchen, and Yvonne putting the groceries away. I'm like, where's my fucking Guinness glass? She's like, what does it look like? I'm like, every other glass I have. So I have this Sam Smith glass that I got from our friends Melissa and Sophia, who are at our wedding. They were our only 2 witnesses at our wedding, because we just went to my sister-in-law's thing and got a thing signed. So
you had like a COVID wedding before COVID was a thing, dude.
Exactly.
Trendsetters.
We actually, I've been with Yvonne for 16 years, 17 almost, something like that. But we got married because she lost her job and needed health insurance. So I was like, well, I guess we're getting married.
You're kind of like a military. It's like a military thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love it.
So you might question why I chose Guinness as a summer sipper. And there's 2 reasons. One, it's 4.2% alcohol. And a lot of people, when they think of Guinness, it's this dark beer that's a stout and it's strong. And how can you chug 2 Guinnesses before the other one's done, cascading with the pour? Well, it's because it's basically a session beer. It's super light in alcohol, and it doesn't even drink heavy. It drinks really nice and light, a little bit of a roast character to it, but it's not sweet. It's a dry Irish stout. It's so drinkable. And so one reason was the alcohol. And the other reason is like today, we're going to have hamburgers for dinner. So if you're grilling, which is, it's super hot out right now. You probably wouldn't want to drink a Guinness while you're grilling, but when you're eating your grilled meats or whatever,
or fake meats.
Yeah. In our case, fake meats. You can drink a Guinness. And it goes perfectly with barbecue / grilled foods. It's a great pairing beer for foods like that. Even though it's hot out, you might not want to drink it with I don't know, pair with the heat outside, but you pair it with the food that you drink after you're done cooking it. So
Guinness scared
those Guinness.
Guinness scared the crap out of me when I was first starting to get into beer. Mostly because when I started switching to beer from hard liquor, when I started actually having a job and not being in school, the place we went to was a British pub. That was where we always went with the guys that I got an internship with. Like, they were older than me, and every day was happy hour after 5 o'clock. Mm-hmm. And so obviously being a British pub, like Guinness was there, and they had like Smithwick's and Harp and a few others, and I can't remember everything, but I always remember
suspects. Yeah,
and I always remember seeing people like pour it, and I was just like, oh my god, it's like motor oil. I just no chance. And now that I've learned, I'm like, oh yeah, that's solid. That's a great little sessionable roasty deliciousness,
Yeah, it really is good. I mean, even I could drink this out in the heat. It sounds weird to drink a stout in the heat, but I'm not drinking a fundamental observation. Like, if you're going to drink a 16, 13, whatever percent, like a Black Tuesday, when that's just not a good idea. You're going to
summer sipper.
You're not going to have fun. You'll have fun later when you're drunk, but it's not gonna be a good pairing for the weather. Where I think this beer, I selected it because of the food pairing idea, but it's also low ABV, and if you're tired of drinking, pills, lager, whatever, wheat beers, it's a nice change of pace, and it's something different for your palate, but it's also lower alcohol. It's basically a session beer. It's 4.2%. Like, come on.
Yeah.
And it's not, like you said, it's not overwhelming. It's sometimes you need to switch it up. And to your point, Guinness, I feel like it was, when it was originally created, it was just like, it was an everyman beer. It was just like a stout to grab a pint after you're done working. You're not going to like get shit faced like most of these heavy stouts and like barrel aged crap. It was just something like to go grab a pint after a long day in the lumberyard. And like that's exactly what it was made.
Long day in the lumberyard.
The shipyard. Sorry, excuse me.
That's funny. The lumberyard. Stacking that lumber at Home Depot. Go get a Guinness after work.
Oh, I'm thinking back. I know.
I'm busting your balls.
I decided to open so my buddy Brian is the GM at Forbidden Root. They're in Chicago, and he sent me some beer, and I forgot that I had this. So this is it's called Icarus. It's a little 4.5 blonde that's got hibiscus and peppercorns and orange peel. Ooh. It's actually really good, and the color of it is freaking. Check this out. Look how red that is.
Oh wow, the hibiscus really put a lot of color in that.
It's like pink. It might. I mean, my camera is terrible, and the lighting out here is bad, but this beer is actually, if it's 4.5%, it's delicious.
Is the hibiscus like
it's got like really a little prominent? It's like a little floral thing, but like it's got a kind of just a little bit of spice from the peppercorns that they're using, but it's super, super clean. I mean, 4.5%, it's great. This would be something that in 106 degrees at your house, John, you'd be crushing right now.
What's the temperature down in Oceanside?
It's like 87 right now.
Oh man, that's
gnarly. I know, it's usually like 70. It's warm today.
Speaking of North County, San Diego, I have a beverage from North County. It is a Belching Beaver hard seltzer.
There you go.
So instead of just trolling and getting like a Truly or whatever,
you went craft on the seltzer.
Yeah, I went craft on the seltzer. They say real fruit, not clear fruit. So it actually has color. I mean,
that's awesome.
It looks like juice. So it's passion fruit and guava hard seltzer. I haven't had it before.
I had a couple of those in the fridge like a month or so ago because my wife had some, and it's not like I wasn't mad at it.
It definitely has much more of a real fruit flavor. Like all of the hard seltzers, just like the fucking soft seltzers.
It's LaCroix of alcohol,
right? Which is very clearly like this is good lime flavoring, but it doesn't taste like I'm drinking lime juice, right? Like this is pineapple, or this is grapefruit flavor, but this doesn't taste like grapefruit juices in it, right? But this tastes like actual fruit juices in here. It's pretty good.
Have you had Bubble Party from Modern Times yet, by chance?
I think I had one of them somewhere.
The grapefruit one. It was kind of like that grapefruit like essence, but it was it was delicious. My wife loves that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Modern Times is talented enough at what they do that whatever category they decide to dip in, like they're going to put out something.
Every style they make is good.
Jason, have I ever explained my thoughts on the Belching Beaver logo to you?
Yeah, I do recall you very quietly, privately mentioning that.
Yeah, okay. I wasn't sure. So
you will note that this one looks like a pro wrestler or some shit. Like that looks.
Yeah, they took my advice and they changed the logo quite a bit to make it look less like a vagina. So I'm very proud of them for doing that.
There was a Belching Beaver beer back in the day that the label was kind of based off of Evel Knievel, and he had like the helmet on with the They had like this. It was one of the coolest labels ever. What was that? It was called like Easy Beaver or something.
Yeah.
God damn it. I think that's what it was. Yeah.
I think that's what the name of it was, but it was one of the coolest. I love that label. I will always remember it. Easy, I think it was
Beaver.
Easy
Jesus
Beaver.
Fucking Christ.
Like who came up with the name of that brewery, by the way? Like Belching Beaver. What are we doing?
Child.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot. I think we asked them, and they're like, "No, they swear it's totally an accident."
Yeah, a bunch of dudes like they just had a bunch of edibles. They were like sitting, like laughing their ass off one night. Let's call it belching beaver. It's crazy.
Hold on here. I'm bringing it up. Give me a second.
Are you bringing up the logo? God damn it, John! Don't.
No. Well,
Do it.
Don't.
here we go. Let me go. There's the Easy Beaver.
Yeah, see how he's got? Isn't that like the evil? Yeah, I love that.
I think they're going for an Easy Rider, right?
Easy Rider,
the Peter Fonda American flag.
Yeah, because there's a bike on the label, like a motorcycle. So yeah. That makes sense.
Remember how Evil Knievel used to wear like the whole? It was all that stuff.
Oh yeah, it's totally that same vibe though.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I bust belching beaver's balls because
they should have just called it belching beaver's balls.
Yeah, they don't have balls because it's a vagina on the label. But, it's clearly a vagina, guys.
in the Twitch chat, we have was queefing mammal an option?
Queefing mammal.
There's a trademark on that already.
I'm actually not. I like that name.
Stone owns that one, so you can't. Yeah, they had to change it.
Okay.
I am here for the stone hate from Jason. I love this. It's hilarious.
I'm mad. They betrayed me.
Well, we're done. We ended that already.
They've betrayed me.
Joe wants more.
Keep going.
Rabble rouser.
Honestly, I like hearing Jason go off on anything. If you're friends with Jason on Facebook, he's he hasn't toned it down. It's just gone away a lot. But for dunking on like Trump chuds, like it's amazing to watch Jason work on Facebook.
I've done a lot less of it because it doesn't make me happy. Like I don't feel better.
But you're so good at it, man. Like I read your posts and I'm just like, oh, this. I want to hug your posts.
I mean, fuck them. So good. But yeah. No, I'm tired of people going on the internet and being assholes and weaponizing that all their friends are trying to be polite to them. So they just come in and they're mean-spirited shits. And they're like, well, Uncle Jeff, you've got your opinion and I've got mine. And then they're a mean-spirited shit again. And it's just like, fuck you, man. Like, just fuck off.
I'm here for it. I get it. Like, I support you. Yeah.
Don't stop weaponizing politeness. All right. Somebody can be not polite to you.
I'm
going to grab my next beer. Give me a second.
Did somebody just have a plane fly through their house?
Dude, that's crazy. Like, I have no idea what just happened. I just got scared.
Oh, you're in a garage though. You're closer to the street, right?
Yeah. Well, but it's not normally that loud. That was nuts.
Huh. I mean, if you drive around LA and like we tend to just go drive to get out of the house, majority of intersections now have just all kinds of black wheel marks from people just doing wheelies in the middle of intersections.
Yeah.
Doing donuts and shit.
Yeah, here it's donuts and stuff.
Yeah. All right. I got another one queued up whenever you're ready.
Go ahead, Tim.
Oh, go ahead, Jason. You were saying something.
I was just gonna say I've almost finished this seltzer. It's a lot better than I thought it would be.
It's like bad, right?
It's not as sweet as your average. Like, it's a little bit sweeter than your average hard seltzer, but it's not sweet like all of these fucking puree Berliners that are coming out right now. Mm-hmm. It's just got like a nice light fruit flavor. It's really refreshing. It's pretty good.
Nice.
I bought it for the lulz, but it's actually I'll finish it. I'm glad I got a 6-pack now.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out because I've had a handful of hard ciders and they're all like, I don't know if anybody has seen the meme. I saw it mostly on TikTok, but there's like the meme of like in the LaCroix factory, there's like a glass of water and they take like a strawberry and they very delicately like dip it in the water and they're like, okay, we're done. And that's exactly how all the hard seltzers and LaCroix and all that stuff tastes to me. It's just like you get like this tiny little essence. So to have a seltzer that actually has a little more to it sounds like something I would totally want.
Sean Baby, do you know that author or that writer? He's on Cracked and he's been like an internet writer for a long time.
Like, Sean Baby, is that the dude that was like his head was shaved or he had a mohawk or something?
Yeah.
Yeah,
he still writes for Cracked, and he's been around for whatever. But like in one of his articles, he's just like, And while you do that, I'm gonna make jokes, workshop some jokes about LaCroix soda, and then I just looked it up because it's one of my favorite things. It's just like it tastes like unflavored water finding its roots after an online DNA test revealed its great great grandmother was a grape.
Accurate.
A can of ordinary water handled by a delivery boy who once fucked a peach.
What the fuck?
All right. Speaking of fruits, I'm gonna go up next here. I got another one from Grimm. This is from Grimm Artisan Ales.
Oh, I haven't had Grimm in so long.
The reflection there is just killing me.
Tilt it down.
Oh,
there you go.
There you go. Cool. Look at that.
You guys have. That's a second cool rainbow fancy can we've had today.
Yeah.
I've had no rainbow beers. I feel bad.
So this is Rainbow Dome. Excuse me.
Rainbow Dome?
Rainbow Dome.
Love it.
So for me, adding to, like I mentioned in the beginning, like my summer beer, I'm kind of going with like a play on styles as opposed to just straight up like sessionables or anything like that. This is actually a dry hopped sour ale brewed with apricots and conditioned on oak. So for me, summer really says like something fruity and refreshing, something sour. I would tend to go more like the Goza route, but this was obviously slight limitations and it looked really fucking cool, so I went with it.
I wanted to avoid fruit, like just because it just seems so easy to go with like a fruit beer and something light like a Berliner with, I don't know, peaches. Not that they're bad beers, I just didn't want to go with that. Along those same lines, Tim, I also have a barrel-aged beer, but this is from Mikkeller.
Ooh.
And this is actually a foreign brewed beer. It's not from like Mikkeller SD or anything. This is called Drinkin Berliner. This is 2.8%. So that's the angle on this beer. It's a true summer sipper because it's under 3%. And I think I won the alcohol wars with this one. And this is Berliner Weiss aged in white wine barrels. So I saw that, and I love wine barrel aged beer. Like Chardonnay barrel aged beer is so good. Like Chardonnay wine, like so it's like the best beer you like. So good, so good.
That's
I'm
awesome.
a big fan of when they age sours in wine barrels. I love wine barrel aged sours for whatever reason.
Yeah. Wine barrel aged everything is like extremely my shit. Like every time I see something wine barrel aged, it's usually something cool. Usually it's a brewery doing something creative and good. I don't think it's like a big selling gimmick, so they're usually doing it just for pure like quality
like
of product reasons. Yeah.
This Grimm comes in at 4.6.
Did you get that local, by the way? Is Grimm out here now?
Yeah, I picked this one up at Hilo in Culver.
Wow.
They have a pretty decent selection. I've seen Grimm around.
They pop up around here at the nicer, like only at like the hardcore beer nerd stores, but they're around. Not a lot, but.
So this beer has some funk on it. Like I'm almost getting like a cheese vibe off of it, like camembert cheese kind of thing, which I did not expect. I expected, well, I saw white wine and I thought Chardonnay barrel. And that's just what I go to as my default because that's what I hope it is. But it's not that. It's got a nice funk on it. And I don't think that's necessarily from the barrel. It's more probably like a yeast character or like some kind of bug character that's in the beer because it is a Berliner Weiss. But heavy like stinky cheese nose, which I kind of dig. Like it makes it stand out. So it smells fantastic.
It's got those chitty topper tones.
Exactly. Dude, that tastes good. Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. So, little cheesy on the flavor too. That's weird. Yeah, like a Parmesan-y kind of like a white cheese thing. I don't know why I'm saying cheese so much, but it just comes off cheesy.
John's hungry. He's thinking about his burgers later.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you having burgers later?
I am. Yeah, we're grilling later with the Beyond Burgers.
A Parmesan-y beer sounds bomb to me.
This is really good, and for 2.8%, like
wait, 2 or 3?
2.8%.
Dang, I didn't hear that. That's awesome. I thought you said 3. That's amazing.
No, 2.8. Like it's super, super low, and it tastes really, really good.
I had a 2.5% Radler the other night, and it was great.
Speaking of Radlers,
oh, look at that!
Nice. My last beer is I just saw this randomly on the shelf. I've never heard of this brewery. Apparently, they're out of San Francisco. 2 Pitchers Brewing. A Radler with grapefruit and a hint of blood orange.
Look at you go, the Radler.
And apparently the brewery specializes in like Radlers and Shandies. Like that's all they make.
What's the ABV of that one? 2%?
No, it's high. It's like 5. So I
nice.
guess they engineered it to not just be a 5% lager mixed with juice, but they made a drink. Super good.
I feel like Radlers have a very cool and interesting like history to them. If you notice, the dude on the can that Jason just shared, obviously he's on a bike. I'm pretty sure, based off of what I remember, the Radler was developed during a bike race when the pub that everybody ended up at didn't have enough beer for everyone, so they mixed half the beer with half juice, and that was the invention of the Radler.
Oh, that's awesome! I had no idea.
I'm like, I don't want to say for sure because I don't want to be called out, but I remember that coming up when I did a show about that a while, way back in the day.
Huh. Yeah, when I presented my question on Twitter about possible beers for this show, I can't find who suggested it. It was a dude from Firestone, Bradley Miles. He suggested making a homemade Radler with 50-50 Pivo and lemon LaCroix, which sounded good. I couldn't find Pivo at Gerard's when I went there. Otherwise, I would have totally done that because that sounds amazing. Like Pivo cut with lemon just sounds really good.
It does sound good.
I would drink that. It's really good. This beer, so I love grapefruit juice, and it is very much just, a nice lager with like a big grapefruit juice flavor. Natural grapefruit juice, like it tastes like real juice, not like grapefruit flavoring, not like the grapefruit you get in a LaCroix. Super good, super refreshing. I was actually pretty skeptical on these 2 fruit beers I brought that they were going to be too fruity, but they're both just like, they are true summer sippers. I bought them as just kind of a whim, and these are both like, shit, I might buy these again.
I'd say just to follow up to make sure. It was created by an innkeeper just outside Munich, apparently during the cycle boom of the 1920s. One of the roads led straight to his drinking establishment, and so they ended up mixing lemon soda and beer.
I love it. That's such a cool story.
Added some salt to it to kind of replenish your salt intake while you're sweating it all out.
Yeah. So this Grim reeks of, in a good way, of apricot. It's got such a heavy apricot aroma coming off of it, and it's got a really nice tartness that's just kind of hitting right in the jowls, which is something that I personally really like from a sour. So it's like refreshing, and it's giving me that sort of like jowl tension, and it's really great.
Where are you on sours, Joe? Like as far as tartness level is concerned?
I want the enamel ripped off my teeth when I drink sours. I love that. We used to do. I know Jason hates them now, but we used to go to Sourfest at Stone every year. Yeah,
they own the trademark to Sourfest. They own the trademark for Stone Sourfest. But carry on.
Did I ever tell you about? I had from like Stone Sourfest in like 2011 or whatever, and I would wear that around, and people are like, "Oh, you like Stone Sour?" Like the band, from the guy from Slipknot.
Oh, right. Yeah,
they're canceled now too, right? Didn't Stone go after them? Can't have Stone Sour.
God.
If they went after Slipknot, they'd lose their whole fan base.
Early on, go ahead. Sorry.
I was gonna say I love super acidic sour. So like Side Project is my absolute favorite when it comes to sour. In Modern Times does ridiculously sour beers now. I feel like their sours are like way more sour than they used to be.
Really?
Yeah. I feel like
they're way more sour than they used to be?
Way more.
Like you could drink those old Upland beers and stuff.
I'm saying the Modern Times sours, the last year and a half, I feel like it's straight like you have to eat Tums as soon as you're drinking those things. It's nuts.
There was we did an episode way back in the day on Drinking Socially of this. It was I want to say it was a Euro brewery, but I can't remember. But it was like a kettle sour with lemons. So it was literally just like this sour on sour.
Oh gosh.
I like pucker, but my God, that was
too much. Yeah.
A little bit.
Is anybody here a big Simpsons fan?
I back
Not
in the day,
really.
classic Simpsons.
There's an episode where there's a dispute about a lemon tree.
Oh my God, yes.
And there's a guy just sitting there, and he just takes a bite out of the lemon to like show how much he's enjoyed it. He's just like,
I can't even make my face do that. Just comically like folds in on itself. Yeah, that was great because the lemon tree's in the junkyard.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that was a good one.
But yeah, I'm a big sour fan. Used to be my wife's favorite style. I don't know, something happened, and I have a bunch of them in my fridge still that we haven't drank. Horace makes great sours. I know everyone talks about them he talks about Kyle doing stouts, but their sours are amazing.
Yeah, Jason's showing the Simpsons thing that Tim was talking about, or that Jason was talking about. Yeah,
He's just like, it's so good. He's tearing up.
But yeah, Tim, stone fruit sours are my favorite.
Okay.
Peaches, apricots. Oh, I love them.
Yeah, I feel like that fruit it has this sort of like border between like sweet fruit and citrus fruit that just kind of it mellows it out perfectly.
I think Modern Times did one with like pluots or something, and I was like, I've never heard of that fruit before, and I drank it. I'm like, this is freaking delicious.
Jason, what are the fruits? It's pluots and God. So there's pluots, which is plums and apricots, and there's apricots and plums. Aprium.
I remember
Aprium,
that, yeah.
That's it.
Aprium?
Yeah, aprium and pluot. So pluot is more plum than apricot, and aprium is more apricot than plum. As far as like it's a genetically engineered fruit.
Yeah, we're straight going GMO for sour beer. I love it.
Plum in sour beer has been extremely my shit. Every time I've had sour beer with plums, they're so good.
Yeah,
I've never had a plum. I don't think
you've never eaten a plum before.
Oh, no, I don't think so, man.
My neighbor growing up had a plum tree in the back. I used to hop the fence and grab a few.
Oh, plums are the best. I love plums.
It's one of those words that the more you hear it, the more it sounds like it's not a right word. Like the more we keep saying it, I'm like, this word doesn't sound right.
Plum.
It's like The Sims talking right now.
Oh my god, my wife's been playing The Sims for the past like week and a half, and I just laugh every time I hear a word.
I haven't played The Sims in such a long time. We were talking about. Do you remember like the original Sim City on Super Nintendo, like 91-ish? That game was like just when you said The Sims, I thought of Sim City. Like that game was amazing.
My first experience with The Sims was probably in that same era, but on a computer, like a PC.
Yeah. I came in at about SimCity 2000.
My middle school science teacher had SimCity on a computer in science class because it was somehow educational, and I remember I would play it in school.
It was educational. I learned a lot about playing SimCity.
That's right.
That was my first introduction to like taxes and fucking natural disasters.
Yeah.
And
it's that aliens. One guy like, you can't raise taxes, you'll regret this.
Right.
Were there pandemics?
I tried building like railroads, and it was like your pollution's terrible. And I'm like, I had like coal power plants, and it was
you couldn't afford the nuclear.
Yeah, the nuclear ones were like $5,000. I'm like, you couldn't do it.
I'm gonna wrap up my beer selection here really quick. So again, summer sippers style wise, for me, also summer to me says like going to a brewery, hanging out in the tap room or out on the patio. And if you're thinking like new back breweries that I would visit were very heavy on the hazy IPA sort of train, so I'd always at least have one and sip it out, on the deck and just really enjoy. So I had a buddy of mine who stopped by Boomtown earlier this week, and he ended up grabbing me one of their Boomtown Artist Series, the Graffiti IPA.
Look at that!
Oh, nice.
I've seen these. Yeah, I've seen these before. I absolutely love this can. So it looks like I can't remember the brand, but the spray paint. Yeah, it looks just like the Krylon spray paint can, just like
Monkish did the same thing with what was it, backpacks and
backpack full of cans.
Yeah, backpack full of cans. That's what it was, and that's the first. I think Monkish was probably one of the first breweries to kind of do that Krylon spray can thing. Boomtown, from what I saw on your beer can, Tim, they're taking it to the next level, adding like the plastic top to it and.
Where is Boomtown?
LA?
It's downtown in Arts.
Yeah, downtown LA. Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's it's a non-filtered double IPA. It's 8.4, so not necessarily the sipper side, but it definitely hits it for my sort of style thinking. And it's brewed with Citra, Mosaic, and 007 hops.
Ooh, it sounds good.
Yeah, I thought about getting a hazy. I think hazies, especially like what Joe's drinking, like the higher ABV ones. Again, it's not necessarily the alcohol that makes it a summer sipper. It's how the beer vibes with whatever's happening during the summertime, whether it be the heat or if you're on a cookout or if you're at the beach or, I don't know if you're running or doing sports or whatever. It's all about context, basically. And I think hazies definitely fall into a beer that's perfect for like hot weather, even though they're a little bit higher ABV. And like I had a couple honorable mentions that I put in the doc from Greg Enkler on Twitter. He mentioned T-Cursion from Bottle Logic, which I had never heard of T-Cursion, and Vibes Pilsner from Almanac, both of which were available at Gerard's, and I picked them up. But I didn't feature them on the show because I thought the beers that I selected for the show, like the Hell or High Watermelon, the Mikkeller beer, the Prima Pils, and the Guinness Draft, I think those were more in line with what I wanted to do. But the Decursion beer, it's made with tea, and it's probably the best tea beer I ever had. Like, I had it last night, and it is massively fruity. It's made with black tea, and I homebrewed a tea beer once with gotta keep burping, with Earl Grey tea, and it was so fruity. And this is even more fruity. Like, it was a really good beer, but it's kind of like a hazy IPA-ish kind of thing. Really, really good. And then the Vibes Pilsner again was it's a hoppy pils that Almanac puts out. Really, really good. So shout out to Greg, because those were two really good suggestions that I did buy, but I just didn't feature them on the show.
I did have one last wild card. The show's been going a little long, so I've actually got another beer.
Wild card.
I looked for. I was actually one of the things I was looking for was one of the summery beers that first came to mind was the Anderson Valley Gozas that they did.
Yes, they did the melon and
weirdly, the original and the blood orange were the ones I've always liked.
Mm-hmm.
And neither of those are available in the store, but they have this, which the wording tropical hazy sour ale. They're just like, look, God, it's got whatever it is. You just buy it. Fuck.
Throw in some words.
Passion fruit, guava, and coriander, which sounds pretty interesting.
That does sound interesting.
That's checking all the boxes too for tropical, hazy, sour. Like, did they throw wood in there some place so they could say it's barrel aged? Like,
it's solid though. It's got that nice salinity. It's got, which helps cut through the sweetness and not make it too cloying. Super refreshing, super good. It's less sweet than the hard seltzer somehow, even though.
have any of you been to Anderson Valley?
Nope.
No.
What?
It's really far from everything.
Yeah, we took a trip to NorCal, and we landed in SFO and drove up to this farm stay that we were staying at. Oh my God, I can't remember the lake that is near. But anyway, we stopped by Sierra Nevada's brew pub, and then we went over to Anderson Valley, and they've got a really nice little setup there. It was very naturey, surrounded by trees. Really cool spot.
What city is Anderson Valley in? What does that say on the can, Jason?
It's Boonesville.
Yeah.
Boonesville.
It seemed like a very small little place. Like, we stopped in this general market and got some sandwiches and took them back to the brewery and hung out and had some beers. And it was a nice little like small town, mid-sized nature brewery sort of setup.
It is isolated enough that they have such a they have this weird dialect where they say a bunch of weird terminology that other people don't use. They're like super proud of it. So if you see the brewery owner talking about it, they're like, yeah, they literally had like researchers come here. I forget exactly what they call it, but they have a name for the dialect there, and they're just like, yeah, we call a doctor a shovel tooth here because the first doctor we had in town had big buck teeth, so we call him shovel tooths. And like, it's weird,
messed up.
I forget what they call it, but
it's like 100% that size of an area. Like, it's literally just like a drive-through area, like a main street sort of place. But it is beautiful, and it did take cutting across a couple of highways to get there, so it's out of the way.
It's called Boontling.
Boontling.
Yeah, it's a jargon or argot spoken only in Boonville County in Northern California.
Bootling.
Yeah.
Today I learned.
I just found this in the door of my fridge, which is delicious. It's Green Cheek and Firestone Walker, Impossible Germany, little fest beer.
That's perfect.
It's just straight brown bread. It tastes so good. 5%.
Oh my God, I love.
No, this is
I want to say that's like 5-6 months old.
No, I think I got this like 2 years ago, bro.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's been at least a year and a half. I'd have to look it up.
So it says
Green Cheek and
Union
Firestone
barrels. So they used like Union Jack or the double barrel barrels or something to age that.
Well, it's a Green Cheek beer, so I don't know if they had Union barrels like the system at Green Cheek, but maybe it says something on the label.
It says this beer is pretty kick-ass, brewed in some Union barrels. The sweet dudes at Firestone Walker hauled down to Green Cheek.
Oh, there you go.
We made a proper barrel lagered fest beer. It's like woody brown bread. It's delicious, and it's 5%.
So I wonder if they just like if you go to Firestone, you can see like the Union barrel system they use for like a DBA, where they ferment in the barrels. I wonder if they just plucked a couple of those barrels and took them down to OC and let Green Cheek keep them, just to for nostalgia kind of thing.
I'm quickly becoming a really, really big Green Cheek fan.
Oh, Green Cheek.
Love their beer.
We have been all over Green Cheek since they opened, pretty much.
Yeah, and the whole COVID thing, like they've been shipping beer now. Like every time they ship stuff, I buy it. Like they just did that stout with Horace, and I got that. And they did that West Coast IPA is Dead, which was freaking. I drank one of those last night. It was amazing. I love their beers. Love them.
Yeah,
Green Cheek is great.
Well, overall, I think the selection of beers we had on the show was pretty diverse. I mean, again, the summer sipper, the lawnmower beer category, I mean, there's elitists that say it has to be this, it has to be this. And there's people that like us that you make it whatever the hell you want to make it. So, like my selection, I'm pretty happy with what I got. I had like a standard, like a Pilsner, which is something you drink when it's hot. But then a stout also. Like, who thinks of a stout as a summer sipper? Well, I did. That's the first beer I thought of, was getting a Guinness for this show. So overall, I think everything we chose was pretty cool and interesting. Joe, thanks for like stepping in for Greg at the last minute.
I'm stoked that you guys even asked me to come on. I love hanging out with you guys.
Yeah, it's been a while since you were on the show, so it was good.
Careful what you say, man. We're gonna ask you back again.
What do you do next week?
Hey, if I'm around, I'll do it.
What are you doing on Saturdays at 1:30?
I felt bad because there was a time like in the last year where John would hit me up and be like, hey, can you come do this? And like I was so busy with the kids with sports and stuff. But right now, like there's nothing going on. So I was like, I can do this. I was helping my parents move some stuff today. They're moving into a different house, but I was like, oh, yes.
Yeah, I hit Joe up and he's like, I think I can do it. I'll let you know in the morning. And then an hour later, I'm like, yo, I'm just like, I'm gonna like making it permanent. You're gonna be on, like, make it happen, dude. Because I don't want to have to like fuck around and call someone else. So I'm glad you.
Crazy how much like free time I have right now. It's amazing.
And you have the gear to do it. So like you're basically a podcaster now. So we're just gonna call you every week.
Let's do it. I'm there. Just let me know like more than 5 hours in advance so I can actually like go and prepare.
Right.
I was just grabbing random stuff out of the fridge. I feel bad.
Greg told us yesterday afternoon that he couldn't make it. So I actually hit up Jesse Friedman from Almanac, and he's like, nah, I don't feel like drinking beer on the internet right now. And I'm like, oh, okay. So not that you're like third tier choice.
I could be the bottom of the barrel. It's fine.
No, I have a standard list of people that I hit up, and you're on that list. So
I appreciate that.
But I appreciate you coming in to do the show with us.
Have you ever introduced your show with the Noah's Arcade rap?
I should, but no, I haven't.
You've never just been like, come bust a move where the games are played. It's chill, it's fresh, it's Joe's Arcade.
I should, dude. My kids are super into Wayne's World right now too. So I've watched that movie 100 times the last month. It's been great.
Yeah, and if you're like I said, if you're unfamiliar with Joe, his YouTube channel is Jow's Arcade, JOWS Arcade, which the Jow's thing is a reference to a receipt that back in the day, you can ask Joe about that on YouTube. But Jow's Arcade, the dude gets a lot of whales on his show. He's got a lot of good friends in high places, and he drinks a lot of good beer. So check his channel out because it's dope. And Joe's a nice guy. He's a vegan like me. And
look at us go.
Yeah, you were one of the first people that actually hit me up when I said I was a vegan on Twitter, and we've been talking for a few years now. So he's good people, and he's into video games too. He's got a rad arcade in his garage. If you watch his videos, like I think you just finished like a whole bar table set up with those 3 TVs you referenced earlier.
Do you have a cabinet of the WWE game from the early 90s or the WWE game?
I have a NBA Jam cabinet that you can swap boards out, and I had it was either, I don't know which one you're talking about. There's either WrestleFest or Superstars. There was both of those, and I had both of those boards, but I ended up getting rid of them. I sold them. People, like a couple buddies were looking for them, so I sent them to them.
Fun times.
Yeah, I don't have them anymore, but NBA Jam was actually the first game that I ever bought that got me into the arcade whole like craziness.
Nice.
And I will never get rid of it.
I love that
game.
Jam.
Oh, it's the best.
I randomly quote the NBA Jam announcer like in my regular life all the time. It'd be like, for two.
You know what's crazy?
Grabs the rebound.
It's the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, they said that game made $1 billion in quarters. $1 billion with a
In
B.
quarters. Wow.
In quarters. $1 billion. Yeah, it's
a lot of quarters.
It is.
How much does that weigh?
A metric fuckload.
And that's even without Jordan.
Yeah, there's no Michael Jordan, unfortunately.
I'm going to end the show there, but yeah, NBA Jam, I never played it, but when I was working...
my gosh, you have to come down here and play NBA Jam with us.
Well, no. Let me finish. I was working for the AFL-CIO in Las Vegas. They had this big organizing campaign for unions and stuff, and my boss was a huge NBA Jam fan, and he always, his team was the Jazz, Utah Jazz on NBA Jam.
Yeah.
And he
Malone
was...
Stockton.
Yeah.
John
he was
Stockton.
obsessed with that game, and I would just sit there and watch him play. It was kind of like real life Twitch, and I was just, and he would. It was incredible to watch him play.
It's one of the best games of all time because anyone can like walk up to it and play it. Like it like you said, it checks all the boxes. Like it's a fun game. Women play, like girls play it, dudes play it. It's like it's so fun.
You guys can stop recording if you want.
Already done.
For two.
And then seriously? Joe, I'm gonna add you.
To
the.
Did I just do something wrong? Oh
no!
No! It's all there still.
Okay.
Another thing. I hit stop and it said 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. I'm like, oh no.
But it's still there, right?
But all the stuff is still there.
Okay, so this week, guys, we're gonna save it. I think there's an option in Audacity to save it as a 16-bit wave, not a 32-bit.
Damn it, it's exporting right now.
How do you do it?
Mine defaults to 16-bit.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, signed 16-bit PCM is the default.
Yes.
How do I do this?
Yes, tell them, Jason. Or tell him.
Just go to File and then Export. Export as WAV. And then down at the bottom, the encoding box should say signed 16-bit PCM.
File name. What should I put? Just 4B.
Put put Joe-81.
John, have you noticed my very organized file names for these?
I have. Yes, I appreciate that. I changed all of your names to your name and then like just the date. So like last week was Jason-725. That's how I name them.
Now it says edit metadata tags. What do I do?
You can okay.
You can skip that. Yeah.
Yep. All right. Cool, guys. I gotta bounce. Let's figure out what next week's show is.
Yes.
Oh yeah, good idea.
And then I'll
if we want to figure it out like over the next day or so on the Discord, we can too.
Yeah, we'll see what Greg has to say if he wants to come back.
Okay, cool.
I'm down with that.
Ideally, sooner the better.
Joe, if Greg can't make it next week, can you possibly make it?
Yeah, on Saturday again?
Yeah.
Yeah, we record the same time every week.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
I will say, I'm drunk again right now.
Well,
yeah, it is a little weird where it's like, okay, so at 1:30 I'm going to start drinking hard for an hour.
Well, and I was telling John, I don't know if I tell you, I did like 7 freaking reviews last night. And
yeah.
You were super hungover this morning.
We were playing Golden Tea until fucking midnight last night. It was not good. Not good.
Yeah, Tim, we'll figure it out this week.
Right, cool. Hey,
yeah.
Joe, nice to meet you, dude.
Yeah, you too, bro.
It was awesome. Hopefully, I'll see you again.
Heck yeah.
All right, take it easy, guys.
Bye, Tim.
Yeah, holy smokes, the lather effect is real. Let's see here. So now it's Joe 81 is there, or 81 is there. So how do I just email this to you? All right, what do I do?
I have to add you to this shared folder. Give me a second.
Jason, I'm sweating.
Take a breather, man.
I'm almost, but just because it's fucking hot, I gotta turn my fan back up. I turned it down for the show. I'm
a puddle again already. It's funny because my oldest son's at baseball practice right now. My wife's gonna come back and be like, "What's wrong with you?" I'm like, "I'm fucking the 4 Brewers guys got me drunk."
We were gonna go to the fucking we were gonna go to a drive-in tonight, and then I'm like, dude, it's gonna be 85 until midnight. Like, I don't want to sit out there in the 85-degree heat. Like,
that's awesome that you still have drive-ins by you, by the way.
Yeah, there's a couple around here. They have a double feature tonight of Goonies and Gremlins. I was like, "Oh, dude, that's perfect."
Can I Uber up there right now?
And I was gonna take the wagon out there and fucking do all that. I was super hyped, but it's just too fucking hot.
You see,
Goonies is one of my favorite fucking movies of all time.
Dude, I went to Cannon Beach when I was in Oregon a couple years ago. I specifically made a very long detour to go to Cannon Beach, which is the beach where at the end when they see the boat and the beginning when they have the truck race.
Yeah.
And then I went to Astoria too. I didn't go to the house because if you look it up on TripAdvisor and shit, people live there and they're real fucking tired of you coming to their house. Like they have a private drive and all sorts of signs that are like "fuck off, stay off our." Yeah, like, I don't want to mess with that.
Yeah,
I don't want to hassle some poor people who are just trying to live in a fucking house.
Dude, yeah, like just me being as big as a Goonie fan as I am, like living in that house would be fucking amazing. It would be so rad. I would set up like a bench and like do fucking bench press like Brand was doing in the house, and I would do all that stuff.
You would just own it.
The springs, the spring fucking.
Yeah, I was. I gotta send you those. I'll send them to you on Facebook. I was Brand for Halloween a couple years ago, and I had the cutoff sweats and the shorts over my sweatpants and the headband.
Oh, that's awesome.
Oh, it was great. All right, I think I'm doing this right, John. It said it's got 3 minutes left to upload the WAV file to that thing.
Oh, so you got the link. Cool.
Yeah,
right on. And I'll let you know if it came through.
That beach is cool as fuck, by the way. And what is that? They used to be kind of a hype brewery from Oregon. Pelican? Is that right?
I don't know. I've never heard of Pelican.
They were like big in the like 2010 before era.
I think Pelican was
Pelican Brewing. Mother of All Storms was the beer that was kind of back when I started in beer. It's like a bourbon barrel stout or a bourbon barrel barley wine that used to be a get like 2010. But they have a brew pub right on the beach there at Cannon Beach, so you can go there and take your Goonies pick. I have a picture of me wearing like my Goonies shirt and shit.
That's awesome. I got to take the kids up there. My kids freaking love Goonies. They do. They're Goonies. Like we were talking about that on Twitter today. Someone was like, "Name a movie you've seen more than 10 times." I'm like, dude, I've seen the Goonies probably 500 times in my life.
Superman.
It's just one of those movies. Like when I was a kid, it was my favorite, and I watch it every time it's on.
Back to the Future was the big one for me.
Dude, Bloodsport.
Like, I've never seen Bloodsport, actually, believe it or not.
Also a great movie.
But I remember watching Bloodsport in Big Bear in a cabin, and we were like, it was all snowing, and I wasn't able to watch it at home because my parents didn't let me watch that kind of stuff. And yeah, that's where I remember watching Bloodsport for the first time in a cabin in Big Bear.
So, Jason, if you're not going to the movies tonight, the drive-ins, watch Bloodsport tonight.
No, we're doing a Christopher Nolan thing. The kid's been on a Christopher Nolan kick, so we've been showing him all the Nolan movies. We're gonna do Memento and The Prestige tonight.
Or do that.
But I need to eat a bunch of edibles and watch Bloodsport one day.
Yes, you do. You'll freaking love it.
It seems like the best way to do it.
You know what's weird is I kind of wonder, like you watching it for the first time in 2020, I wonder if that movie holds up. Like I love it so much, but I don't know if you'll watch it and be like, yeah, this is good.
I'm gonna like How Did This Get Made? Watch it. Like, do you ever listen to How Did This Get Made?
No. What is that?
How Did This Get Made? Oh, it's like one of my favorite podcasts. They watch bad movies pretty much and talk about them.
Like, how did this get made?
That's yeah. But everything they watch was all the movies that were always on HBO and Showtime when I was a kid. And like my parents, no matter how broke we were, always paid for the good cable package. So I just watched movies on cable all the time. And so I've seen like they did like Tango and Cash, and like Bloodsport would be one of those.
Tango and Cash actually is not bad.
But it's like super cheesy, schlocky 80s movie, and it's silly.
Was Tango and Cash the one where like they're up on the rooftop in the rain and the dude gets electrocuted?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that Tango and Cash?
Yeah, and they have that like crazy Toyota pickup that they made into like the Cybertruck. And in fact, they may have ripped off Cybertruck from that fucking movie, but it had like a Gatling gun on the side, and it's Kurt Russell and Stallone trying to out testosterone the other. It's great.
Fucking Tango and Cash. That's a good movie. I gotta watch that again. But yeah, like,
did you ever watch? Finish?
It says 1 minute left.
Okay.
Or sorry, it says 4 minutes left.
So, okay.
Mine errored out, and so I uploaded it again. It said file unreadable, so I uploaded it again because
I've not seen anybody's yet, so I'll just wait. Carry on.
Jason, do you watch like Steven Seagal movies?
I watched them at the time. My visceral hatred of Seagal, both as a person and as a martial artist, would probably take me out of it. Like but the world's most prolific bullshitter. Like he created a whole series of movies where like he barely even fucking moves. Like a stuntman runs at him and he goes, and then the guy like does a front flip and runs away, and he doesn't even like break a sweat. Like it's the laziest fuck in the world.
It's
just sitting there with stuntman flipping away from him, like, wow, he's so powerful. And this guy made a whole career out of it. It's crazy.
He did. Or dudes would like charge him and he'd break his arm like in 4 ways, like in 2 seconds, and then just walk away from it. It's the best.
There is a martial art.
I kind of feel like that's what I feel like that's what blood sport's going to be for you. I feel like it's going to be a letdown.
Van Damme actually like was talented at martial arts, and it was like
he's like more of a gymnast, right?
No, he had a real background, I think, in either karate or taekwondo. But yeah, he's also like very physically, like he does a bunch of cool shit. I know on the How Did This Get Made for Bloodsport, the girl that was on there, it was Nicole Byers from Nailed It. She kept talking about the buns. She just like, he's got those good buns, because there's all sorts of Van Damme butt shots.
Bro,
in that movie.
he's jacked in that movie.
Yeah.
That was the other difference between him and Steven Seagal. Like Steven Seagal was always like the out of shape, just kind of skinny fat guy that just didn't look opposing. And Van Damme was like this dude who was just shredded, and he was like
I remember reading years ago, there's a website called Bullshido. And it just tracks martial arts bullshit. And Stephen Seagal is the like all-time
Stephen King, also a bullshit martial artist.
Steven Seagal is like the all-time goat of bullshit martial artists. Like he just completely is like, oh yeah, I got trained by the masters in Japan. You wouldn't know them. And then everyone's like, wow. It's like,
but didn't they say he was like the first white dude to open up like a martial arts dojo in like some Asian country somewhere? Isn't
pretty much
thing?
Everything he's claimed is like
bullshit.
Kind of, sort of. There's like a little nugget of truth to it, but it's like 95% bullshit. Like, and so Bullshido, I remember sitting and reading, it was like a 20-page article just debunking all the stupid shit he's done in his life. But the best Seagal story I've ever heard that's become kind of famous, there's a guy named Judo Gene LaBelle. He was a big judo guy back when you'd get a name like Judo Gene. Like he was really big in the 50s. So he's super fucking old. Weird modern connection is he trained Ronda Rousey's mom and was also kind of an influence on Ronda Rousey, Gene LaBelle.
Oh wow. Yeah.
But so he was a big Hollywood stunt guy later in life in the 80s and 90s, and apparently he was on set with Steven Seagal, and Seagal was like, oh yeah, I can't be choked. Like it's impossible because I have so much spiritual power. I can't be choked out. And Gene LaBelle's like, oh yeah? And he's like, yeah,
we can
absolutely.
prove this right now.
And so the story goes that he put him in a fucking chokehold, and Seagal's like, yeah, you're not going to be able to get me. And he just choked him out immediately, and Seagal shit his pants.
That's seriously one of the greatest fucking stories of all time. You could just see him too. I cannot be choked. Like, oh
yeah, you can't choke me out. My will is too strong. It doesn't matter. I will give you my neck. You can't choke me out. And then he shit himself.
He physically shit his pants.
Yeah, like he literally passed out and then involuntarily defecated while he was unconscious.
That is absolutely amazing.
And I believe that story to be true.
You know what? I believe it too.
Did you guys do
Planning for President on the show?
We did. John bought it and then muled it out to each of us individually.
Did you guys like it? I know John liked it.
I liked it. I got to do it side by side. I had just ordered a case from Russian River of Blind Pig and Pliny.
Oh, nice.
I was surprised at how much of a departure it was. I think they clearly
was it way different side by side.
Yeah, they clearly went much more modern varietals on the dry hop, I think. But it was a good beer. I like it. I'm not gonna lose my fucking mind over it, but
right.
It wasn't Most Strata.
No, dude, God, that beer was
I didn't freak out about Pliny for President. I thought it's an excellent beer, but I think the first batch of purchases were based on hype, and then like when they came out, I think it's like the third time they released it online for sale. It was for sale for days. Like you could still buy it days later. It didn't instantly sell out. Well, so not to say it's a bad beer.
That's just
the hype was gone. Right.
I'm telling you, I'm a West Coast IPA guy living in a hazy beer world, and so whenever something comes out like that, like I'm into it.
I'm just desperate for clear beer anywhere. I'm just like, is there any beer here that is?
Me too.
The only brewery I can drink is Pizza Port reliably.
Seriously,
else.
I mean, Swami's is one of my favorite beers of all time. I fucking love that beer so hard.
See, you get me.
Yeah, it's so good, and all my buddies are like, "Oh."
I have Swami's in my fridge at all times. Like it is always in my house.
So good.
It's also really easily available around here. I can get it at like the grocery store.
And it's always super fresh.
Yep. Sprouts has it. It's like $15 or $14.99 for a 6-pack of 16-ounce cans of 8% beer or whatever it is. It's great.
Like every shitty grocery store has it. Like even Winco has it. And at Winco it's only like $11.99 for a fucking 6-pack.
Fuck, I don't have a Winco near me, but I should seek one out. If it's $11.99, I'll go buy it over there.
Winco's got like a decent little of the mainstream California craft breweries. Like you can get Firestone for super cheap. They of course have like Golden Road and shit, but they have a little carve out of like Lagunitas, Pizza Port, Firestone, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How's your upload doing, Joe?
It is showing 2 minutes left.
Okay, carry on.
I don't know why it's taking so long.
I actually
streaming.
I need to drop anyways. I got to go use the bathroom and talk to some friends and family and shit. So I'll see you guys later. Good talk to Joe. Come back.
You too. Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Bye, Jason.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah, this thing says, let's see here. Yeah, it's showing 2 minutes. Hopefully it goes okay.
I'm going to end the broadcast. There's like 3 people watching, but thanks to everyone for hanging out, and we'll see you next week.